Good morning, good morning. Just made it, like 10 seconds to spare. No time to spare. Good morning, good morning. There was another lady in my lane at the pool today, so whatever, bit of trying to go around each other. So I got my kilometer done a bit late and then back here a bit late, and excuses. Across the street there's the couple. They're heading out to the public bath. They get on their bikes and head out to the bath. The local bath here is gone, so they need to get on their bikes and head out to a distant one. The bar they live in there, of course, there's no bathtub in their house, so it's impossible. Good morning, good morning. Okay. You can see also too the hot dog people, they're getting a little bit lazy. They're leaving a bunch of their signage outside at night. They used to clean it up and go inside, of course. They've left their signage outside. The honey hot dogs. I forget what it says. Mitsu tappuri iri hot dog. Hot dog full of honey. That's what it says. Mitsu, and the picture shows this pouring substance that looks like honey. I haven't had it. I'm not about to try that. I don't know. How is this slicing on Monday? Those prints are gone. Those prints are like, they're in the air. They're gone already. I did my job. I sent to Ome, and Tuesday they were packing all day, and the first group of subscriptions for March, they're gone. They have left the building. Absolutely, they've left the building. I got another batch. I got, whose batch did I get? Leichan's batch is on my desk, and it's waiting for me to do the trimming, and my deadline on that is the 10th, because her batch of prints is on the 11th billing. The subscriptions are split into 3 groups. A third of them go on the 1st of the month, the 11th of the month, and the 21st of the month. They help all of us. Instead of having a ton of work for one day and then nothing, we've split it up. So, how'd the cleaning go? No, it's sticker duty. I just quietly now do my sticker duty, and I didn't meet the new guy. There was no discussion. There was no discussion. Here's the new guy, here's the old guy. I didn't see anything change. We just did our jobs, but there wasn't the usual coffee meeting. At the end of it, normally the cleaning, we gather in the coffee shop that's next to the whale restaurant over there. And the Kaicho-san says a few words and thanks for the cleaning, and he gives us news about what's coming up this month and stuff like that. And there was no meeting this time. So I guess the meetings start again in April. I really don't know. No special news. So there's 4 ladies upstairs, and yes, Suga-san and Ishikawa-san are already here, and today Ayumi-san and Nei-chan are coming, and we're going to open their version of the YouTube play button upstairs today. Nothing big and dramatic. I guess I'll get Aoyama-san to put the camera on, so we'll video that. But it's not going to be any special giant ceremony. Okay, what we're doing today. Paper is out for 3 people. There's going to be 4 of them up there, but Ayumi-san, she's making paper wet today, so there's nothing in the fridge for her freezer. What we're going to do today is something maybe you've seen me do this before. I don't know. It's, I don't know. Oops. Don't press any buttons. What I have today, my main work today is preparing the next set of blocks for Kawasaki-san. I was hoping Jed's designs would come through in time. They haven't. So I will have to look into our idea grab bag and prepare some blocks for Kawasaki-san this afternoon. It's nothing I can do on the stream, mostly sitting, thinking. So what I'm going to do on the stream this morning, it's a bit of preparation work for the flea market. Watanabe-san has plans. She's been doing really, really well with the flea market. She has plans. And whatever, she will tell you about it when it gets in time. I've got video to show you about the slicing. Yes. I did get footage of the wood cutting. Remind me maybe 9 o'clock or something, and we will show the footage of the wood cutting. Yes. Watanabe-san has plans for what I regret calling the flea market, but whatever, it seems to be set in stone at this point, so it can't be helped. She's got plans, and as part of helping her, I have been assigned the job of packaging and laying out some prints. We have access to a whole bunch of new old prints, and she's swamped with the photography end of it and the catalog preparation end of it, and she's asked for help from the rest of us in getting some of this stuff packaged and ready. So this is my job today. what you're seeing is half of a print. This is, it's Kuniyoshi. It's half of a Kuniyoshi. And my job today is to get these prints mounted, ready for her photography. So it's kind of like Chantal. And they are a bunch of, we haven't done these before, these are a bunch of diptychs. I don't know the background, this is a sword fight. The background, I've got a note here. It's a duel between Omatsu and Gunbei. You know as much about it as I do. It's a Kuniyoshi design of a duel. It's, of course, it's kabuki related, of course. And my job is to simply get these things mounted so that once she's taken the photographs, they're ready for shipping. And maybe you can do some research in the background. If somebody can head to Wikipedia or whatever, this is Omatsu and Gunbei in a Duel by Kuniyoshi. If you can find some, information, it would help. And we're looking at, this is still Edo. This is 1850 or so. This is Bakumatsu Jidai. Next pair is not Kuniyoshi, next pair is Toyokuni. They're all going to be diptychs today. She's had the diptychs here. Look at this. Oh, the letter. I see it folds over. We read the letter, and this is now the back side of the sheet of paper. Again, I don't have any idea that kabuki background plates. This is not my sphere of expertise, so I cannot tell you who all these people are and what's going on. I have a list of their names. We've read from the print. This is Koteya and Otsuta. But that's all I know, I'm sorry. So I'm packing for the flea market. I'm sorry it's not the most interesting printmaking work, but it's a job I have to do right now. So we've received this bunch of prints from one of our suppliers. And it's a bunch of prints from 1850s and 60s, and they are in excellent, excellent condition. I was really happy when he brought these over and I saw them. Wow, because it's really, really common to get prints from this year that are all smashed up and that they're moldy and that haven't been taken care of. And this particular batch of prints, there's about 100 of them. And this particular batch of prints is in very, very nice condition. So we're going to be happy to have these in here. This was kind of the last gasp for the ukiyo-e printing, the end of the Edo period before the printing presses came in. it's too bad. If there was infinite time here, I could have researched this, found out who they are, what the kabuki plays were, and I could give you the spiel while I'm doing this. But there isn't infinite time for this. I'm sorry. So. There is a couple of things more I have to bring up today. I read through the chat at the end of the stream the other day while I was having lunch, and I saw a couple of comments that came by in the chat that I hadn't had time to respond to. I didn't notice them. There's 3 comments here that I noticed in the chat, and one of them was from John. Is John here today? John's here today. Sure, John. Yeah. John's here, and John made a comment in the last chat, and he put a smiley mark on it. So I guess it wasn't that serious, but whatever. But there was a comment about Beat Takeshi. I had been mentioning that, well, everybody knows the story. The pictures outside on the street here, in fact, we can see this one. The pictures outside on the street, the one at the top left here is a famous old stage and screen actor. Then right in the middle of your screen there, in the middle of the outside view, there's one of the signs which doesn't have an actor's face. It just says, "This space is reserved." And we've talked about this many times before. That one is reserved for Beat Takeshi or Takeshi Kitano, whatever. The story goes that when the publicity people here asked him for permission to do this, he must have said something like, "Over my dead body," and they said, "Okay, no problem, we'll wait." And they're waiting till he's dead, and then it goes up. That's the story, and that's the story that the rickshaw people tell everybody. That space is reserved for Takeshi. And the more serious side of the story is, he said, "I don't want to be there with all these dead people while I'm still alive." He said it's a bit whatever. And right across the street is the man who was his shisho. I don't remember his name, I'm sorry. The man who trained him in all that stuff. So anyway, so the story is that place is reserved for Takeshi. Then in the conversation the other day, it came up that I was talking about the whale restaurant and the fact that the whale restaurant has a bunch of photographs in the window. And among those photographs is one of the whale restaurant master sitting side by side with Takeshi eating whale meat together. And John had said, I guess it was a semi-sarcastic comment, whatever. John had said something like, "Oh, Takeshi is good enough for the whale restaurant, but he's not good enough for the whatever, blah, 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 blah." And the deal is, it's a different mood. The photograph of Takeshi with the whale restaurant guy is there's a background to this. As part of support for the whaling industry, what is it? Which government ministry is it? The Ministry of Environment, Ecology and Trade and Industry and Science and Whaling and whatever it is. They've changed the names of these things. I can't remember. The relevant ministry, if we go back 5, 10, 15 years, the relevant ministry that was charged with supporting the whale industry, there's a limit to how many newspaper ads they can buy with little kids chomping on a piece of whale. People get bored with that kind of stuff. So as part of their idea to think of ways to support the whaling industry, they poured money through the entertainment agencies to get various talent people to do this on TV, to mention whale on TV or do this, to get media mentioning and talking about whale. And one of the things that somebody somewhere down there came up with was the entertainment agency started sending their guys to the whale restaurant where they took pictures or came with the TV news or something like this. So this guy in the whale restaurant is the target. It was whale lobbying. Yes, of course. I don't think they're doing it anymore, but it was a big, big deal a while back. So Takeshi and or his agency at the time would have said, "Hey, go down there, chomp on some whale, take a picture, let's do this." And they were paid, of course, by the relevant ministry to do this. The money flowed through for promoting whaling culture. So from Takeshi's point of view, he's just trying to help out this guy. He's as part of the general mood to promote whaling. Back then, this is 10 years ago or so. So Takeshi on the sign is a private deal between him and the street people here. But in the whale restaurant, that's something arranged by the entertainment agencies. So anyway, my point was simply, there was no point that John sort of semi-sarcastically, with a wink mark, John criticized Takeshi for this. And there was really no. I kind of agree with what he's doing there, waiting until he's dead before we put his picture up. That's kind of a neat idea, I think. It's dying. You know, we've talked about this before. There was a huge, over the past number of decades, there's been huge pressure from the outside world for Japan to stop this. They didn't want to be seen to be giving into outside pressure. That has now calmed down. The outsiders are not applying so much pressure. And the thing now here in Japan, it's dying a natural death. So it's pretty much finished. You know. So anybody who wants to get upset that the Japanese are still ravaging the seas, just lay back. It's all over. It's just finishing. As that last generation dies off, it will no longer be a thing. There will be one or two villages somewhere doing coastal whaling, but that's it. It's no longer a massive industry. It's dying. So. These prints really, really are in good condition. I'm amazed. We rarely get prints of this era that are in such nice condition. Somebody has had a go at this. And in fact, the dealer who is working with me on this, some of these are repaired. I don't know if you can see it here. There's a few places on the front of this. If I start zooming around, we're probably going to screw up our camera. There's a few places, for example, on the front of this one. You can see this little circle and this circle. What these are wormholes. The worms got in here. And this print has been eaten. There's holes in it. But some previous dealer, and we're going back a long, long, long time here, some previous dealer, decades ago, probably before I was born, has patched these. There's a bit of washi paper stuck on the back there. A bit of washi paper has been stuck on the back here in this corner. And they have painted it. Somebody's taken a little brush and they've painted green in this to cover it up. And they've painted yellow on these. So these have been first level repaired. Same thing again in this corner. It's been eaten, pasted in from the back, and touched up lightly with pigment to match. They could have gone the easy route, and they could have just pasted paper across the whole back, what we call urauchi, mounting on a back sheet of paper. And those ones are terrible because they usually pick bad paper for it. And I really don't know. This person could have, did he use actual nice washi for the repair? It looks a bit brown to me, so I don't know. I don't think this is total museum quality level of repairs, but it has been repaired. Look at this. This is the back side we're looking at, not the front side. This is the back side. Yeah, these prints will be going into our market. They're not, someone's asking, do we sell these online? I'm not sitting here selling these to you today. This one is only $55, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're here for today. But they will be going online. And in fact, Watanabe-san will be making an announcement about some stuff next week. She has plans for the flea market to help keep it more active and awake and in people's eyes. So stand by for an announcement about these. I'm just helping her get ready and get prepared and get this stuff organized. I forgot to zoom out. Sorry about that. Hi, go man. Yeah. The other chat comments. I know. I've lost my note. Yeah. Plastic bags. I know. When I was chopping those prints on the other stream, I was cutting the little prints and I was putting them into small plastic bags for shipping. And somebody asked, and again, there's nothing sarcastic or hostile about this. Somebody simply asked, Dave, do you think maybe there would be a better way to do this instead of using plastic bags? And which I guess there's an ethic these days. We're trying to reduce our use of plastics and stuff like this. So it's a legit question. I was using little plastic bags to put those prints in. Is there a better thing I could be doing for them? And of course we thought about this, and I thought about it and decided, no, I am going to stick with those small plastic bags. A couple of reasons why. The prints you saw me, they're going in that little plastic bag, and then they go into an actual white envelope, and then they go into the postal system. And I need something waterproof. I absolutely need something that is going to physically protect the prints and that is going to be waterproof. You wouldn't believe the stories we get from people about packages left in the rain, packages soaked, packages whatever. I can't find any other way to protect them from water than using a small, simple little plastic bag. So that's the upfront reason why I do this. Should I be embarrassed about this? Should I try and reduce every piece of plastic that we use in this company? Maybe I could do better. But there is one other aspect to this that to please keep in mind when you think about Dave's use of energy and plastic here. One sec. When you think about our overall use of energy here in Mokuhankan, the energy that we consume from the planet to produce our products and put them into the world, I think we are doing really, really well when you count everything overall. We have no machines here. Everything is human labor, from cutting the mulberry in the fields, it's all done by hand. Steaming it is done by hand. There's no mechanical processes. There's a truck that brings it to me. Okay, that's bad. We're using gasoline. The paper itself is made by hand. Our use of energy and machines and technology is extremely low. So the finished print that we sell really hasn't had much. It's extremely energy efficient. And then the other side of it, the product that we've made, and you can see this. This is 1856, and it is still in glorious condition. And the little prints you saw me packaging and putting into that plastic bag are going to be shipped in a plastic bag, taken out of it, and then they are going to be consumed and used for 200 years. So balance this off. The use of our products as opposed to the energy cost we've used to make them, I think my credit debit balance on this is really, really, really pretty good. And although it would be kind of cool if I had a way to completely and totally do it without using plastic, I think the use of those strong little plastic bags, I'm not waking up at night with nightmares about this. I'm kind of comfortable with that level of plastic use. So what can I say? Is if that's my excuse, I don't know. The person who asked this wasn't, again, there was no hostility. How come you're using plastic? It was just simply an honest question. Do you think there's any way you can reduce this? And we have thought about it, and in that particular case, no, I don't want to reduce that. My safety overbalances the minimal use of plastic here. Did these prints come out of magazines? No, these were prints that were sold in the market openly as woodblock prints. This is before that era of magazines. This is the 1850s. The magazine prints you're talking about, the Couchier, that's the 1895s, 1905, 1910, something like this. I'm not using tape to stick down the print. I'm using our famous easy corners. I'm not sticking the print down, of course. The print is loose. These are photo corners. Long, easy corners, and use it in your sense. So no, the prints aren't being stuck down. The prints are just going into corners. It's in the back of my mind, and I think we talked about this before, that as part of my renovation and rebuilding of our bookkeeping system, I really want to try somehow, if I can, and again, at this moment, this is vaporware, what I'm going to tell you right now. It doesn't exist here at Mokuhankan. It's vaporware. What I would like to do is try and integrate into our bookkeeping system something that would help account for just that sort of thing that we're talking about, the plastic and the energy use and the longevity of our products. At the moment, those sort of issues don't come into accounting at all. Our accounting simply is how much cash we received, how much cash we spent, how we do the double entries and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't include any of those externals. We hired Ayano-san to come and work for us. She's going to start in April. Her education was provided by the state here. I pay taxes, so is that good enough? My tax goes out and I get an educated person coming in. It seems that there's something missing in the bookkeeping there. There should be some way that I can account for this and account for these externals. And you might think it's like, why would I waste time on such a thing? But if there were such a bookkeeping and accounting system present, where all companies used it, something would sort of, I don't know. Again, as I said, this is just a vapor idea. I don't have a clear concept of what I want here. Just I'm not comfortable with the way that all of our current bookkeeping systems ignore those externals. And I suppose lots of very, very smart economists and stuff are working on this, so it's way bigger than what I can handle myself. But I would like somehow to start doing that. I don't know. These are all related to kabuki, absolutely. They're all kabuki related. I don't know the stories. As I said, I'm sorry. Which way around? I got the wrong way around. They all match up. And they're all diptychs. Triptychs were very common in those eras. Diptychs are more manageable. They've done a fairly reasonable job of getting the colors matched. They would have been printed probably together by the same guy in the same room. They're very, very close with the matching here. This one's got a water stain. Somebody has spilled something on it and stained it. My God, they're in good condition. I am so happy to get these. These are in such nice condition. Look at this. I'm missing most of this conversation. It'll be something I can refer to tomorrow. I don't know. No idea. I don't know the story. Somebody saying it's a ventriloquist. Did they have such things in Edo time? I think it could be a child. I don't know the way they did children in this era. To do children, they just shrunk an adult down like this. So I suspect this is not a doll. I suspect this is a child. I don't know. I could be quoted wrong here. This is the way they did children. Just simply took the XY on Photoshop and shrunk it down. So some of them are really funny. There's a series, I don't even know if it was Kiyo, I don't know, in early ukiyo-e, there's a series of a bunch of courtesans and holding children. And you'd swear they were dolls, but they're not. They're actually, the labeling and the information tells you that these are courtesans with their children. They just look like dolls. Yeah, did Western art used to do this? I don't know. I'm sorry. I have no backstory on there. So they never realized that kids' skull sizes don't match adult skull sizes. I don't know. No idea. You think they never noticed that? Someone was asking about the Ninja Place. I have no updates and news. It's the same old story. On weekends, they are very busy. They do their shtick. They do their acting. On a weekend, it'll be 3, 4, 5 times. We will hear the yelling and shouting and screaming from outside, and we know what's going on. And they've gradually refined their little play, bit by bit by bit. They're getting better at it. They've learned and how not to shout too much to scare kids and stuff like this. They're trying to get a balance between it. And there's a new twist on the play. What happens is, just before the play starts, that's the end of their ninja experience, one of the guys has taken the kids around the back alley. And they've prepared something. I don't know what it is. They've got the permission of one of the shops in the back alley here. And they've prepared something at the back of this shop. And I guess the kids come out of the ninja experience and the guy says, we're going to find this magical thing or whatever. I don't have any idea what it is. And the kids discover this and use their skills to do something in the back alley there. Then they're coming back towards the place where the ninja experience is. And the bad guy is outside. And what happens is, just as they come into view, he sees them coming out of the corner of his eye. And just as they come into view, he reaches into the kugel, which is outside the ninja place, and he pulls out a purse full of money, whatever. And he says, and he grabs it and he tucks it inside. And that's the beginning of the drama. The other tanto, the other guy doing the experience, the other teacher, comes in with the kids, and they see him. And the teacher says, look at that! That bad guy just stole a purse from somebody. Let's save it all. And they run towards, and then they grab the guy and then start challenging him. And he says, no, that's mine. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. And so it starts. And they've been honing this and honing this and honing this. They're pretty good. And it's all their, what's the word? You know, they overact to the nines. It's so funny to watch, you know. The bad guy, it's like some silent movie. He's grinning as he's being a bad guy, and the audience is all in on the joke, you know. But the kids, they're only 3 years old. They don't get it. So I got to hand it to them. They have produced a really interesting experience for, 4-year-olds, for 3, 4, 5-year-old kids, you know. Authentic ninja experience, only open to people, preschoolers, whatever. And sometimes the people who are walking down the street, of course, they don't know what's going on. All they hear is suddenly there's people shouting and screaming, and Is that a water spot on the last one? I don't know. We'll be going through these once we get him in. Yes, it was. As I said, I pointed to that. I said, this is a water stain. Water has spilled on that print. Water and or something, I'm not sure. It might have been something more damaging than water. I don't know. Where am I now? Confused here. So. Whoa, spectacular. Look at this one. Where are we? Is this a diptych? I don't think so. Oh no, there it is. Yes. Ah, look at this bad trimming. Look at this. It doesn't match. Either one of these prints has been trimmed, or the people that designed it didn't really get their act together. This towel doesn't go across. This dipper sort of goes across, but the round window, they're the normal size. That's funny, because they're actually the real official normal size. I suspect they screwed that up when they were designing it. I don't know. No idea. One way to find out is to, get to Google image search and look up some more versions of this print. These are not unique prints, of course. This is, who's this one? This is Kunisada, Toyo Kunisada. And there will be other versions of this print online, and we can see if all the versions have this same situation, then we know that that's how they carved the thing. If other versions have a full window here, we will know this one has been heavily trimmed. I don't know. It's the normal size. I don't know. We'll find out. It kind of spoils the effect, though. Someone says, any more chat comment? Yes, there's another chat comment I want to talk about, and I'll do it right now, I guess. When I showed you, I really don't want to talk about this topic anymore, but just got to show you something very quickly. When I showed you some defective prints the other day, I showed you some prints with Chitty, and it sparked a flood of emails to me. There's now 5. I've answered 4 of these. I still have 1 to answer. 5 people made claims about bark over the past week. So I don't want to really talk about the bark, but there is something in the defective prints that I showed you last week. We interrupt this stream to bring one photograph here. Let me just click along here. This photograph, it was one of the prints that we sent out in our January group. And the claim here, if you look up inside the cloth on top of his head, there's a piece of bark in there. But what I'm much more worried about is over in the right-hand margin, there is a brown spot. And this I've seen before 6, 7, 8 years ago, no, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when we made our first batch of great wave prints. This is a rust spot. And we had a whole bunch of these in our initial batch of great waves. The printer we had used to do that job, his building was very old, this water was full of rust flakes, and they came out in the prints. And that's where I've seen this before. So when I saw this picture the other day, and you can see it's rust, it's brown, it's circular, and it's growing. There's a shadow around the dot that's growing. So when I saw this the other day, I ran upstairs to whoever was printing, and I'm like, what's going on? We've been using filtered water, right? And she says, yes, of course, we filter everything. So today, while all 4 printers are upstairs, we are going to have a little powwow. I'm going to show them this picture, and I'm going to show them that, hey, somebody, somewhere, somehow has let some rust into the water. And they're all supposed to be filtering everything that they use. When I do the sizing, I filter the water that I use. We all think we are doing this properly, but it might be there's another gap in our defenses and something's coming in. So I'm really, really worried. This is nightmare material for me. If we've been sending out prints now from this workshop, completely prepared here, sized here, printed here, moistened here, cut here, trimmed here, mailed from here. If there's rust in it, we have to catch this. We have to catch this. Anyway, so that's the third thing that I mentioned that I meant to talk about from the last stream. This is an emergency alert for us, absolutely. And it goes without saying, if any of you out here are picking up prints from us, if you see something like this in any of the prints you receive from us, emergency phone call to me straight away. Let me know right away. I wrote back to that person who sent that, and I said, I want this print. I want it by Special Express or whatever. Mail it back to me. We'll cover your costs. Of course, we'll replace it. And I thought we have the filter, the water filter that we're using. It's one of those Scandinavian ones. It's something ends with an A. I can't remember the word. And we've got a sticker on the wall. When we change the filter, we put a sticker on the wall that says this filter is next changed in September 15th, whatever. So we think we've been controlling this carefully. But I don't know. Maybe our building is so old that that filter is just not up to the job. Maybe our pipes are so bad. I really don't know. Is it Britta? I don't remember. It could be. I'm sorry. I don't remember. It's something like that. One of those types of things. And it's the last stage filter. It's just a filter. The water comes through the building pipes up to the sink. And then we take a cut off the tap. It goes under the filter, comes back up out the tap. Someone's asking, could it have come in through the paper? Possible, I guess. I think if it had been in the paper, it would have shown itself before now. I think. I can't guarantee that. It's, when I did the sizing, if a piece of rust is in the paper as it sits in the storeroom, is it going to be inert and just sit there? I think it would show itself. Remember, most of this paper, it's sitting here for 2 years before we use it, most of it. Whoa, talk about colorful. Ooh. Yeah, I want to get the scope, and the fact that I can see that rust there, I think this is on the top surface of the paper, and I am not in any way blaming the paper maker for this one. Almost certainly that is happening in this building. I am not in any way blaming the paper maker. We filter everything. The girls use the filtered water for everything to do with the production. There's the big tap at the top there. When I used, and in fact, maybe I'm wrong in this, when I make that tank warm, full of water for doing the sizing, the tank underneath is just tap water. Also, I used that tap water, when I think about it now, maybe not such a good idea, when I did the bathing the prints the other day. That was just tap water. So maybe it's possible that it's in there with those prints that I washed. Actually, I didn't think about that. But the girls are instructed, and I also, when I'm making sizing, the water that makes the size mix is filtered. The water they use for moistening paper, filtered. The water they use for mixing their pigments, filtered. I don't know. We're having a conference today about it when everybody is here. Do we filter the water used to clean the printing brushes? No, Ishikawa-san, I've seen them. They run their brushes under hot water. In fact, I was sort of bitching about they were using so much hot water for this. They wash their brushes first in a bucket of tap water to soak them thoroughly, soak all the pigment. Then they run it under hot water coming out of the tap and rub their brush. So that is a possible place. That's not filtered water. That's tap water for cleaning their brush. Then they put them in the salad spinner, throw most of the water out, hang them up to dry. Could it be from the metal pot cooking the size? I use that enameled pot, so I don't know. I think that's okay. When I do the myoban, it's an aluminum pot, and the big pot is an enameled pot, so I don't think so. Again, I'm not knocking away any suggestions here. There's no hot water tank here. The hot water is all on demand. The sink upstairs where they wash their brushes, there's a gas unit on the wall which is on demand. So when they turn the tap to hot, they're getting the cold tap water, diverts through the gas heater and comes back out through the tap. So there's no hot water tank here. They do exist in Japan. We don't have a system. They're really quite rare. So there's no tank here. Our tap water comes from the city, under the path, into the building and out the tap. There are no storage tanks of any kind in this building. The apartment I used to live in did. The city water came into the tank up top where it was stored, and then it went out into the units. Our water is straight city water. The tank that I use, not tank, the containers that I use to do the sizing, I clean them under hot water every day, scrub them with stainless steel, or with steel wool. Scrub them to get rid of all the loose and all glue. How's our time? Okay, we're okay I think for a bit. Remind me about 9 o'clock and we'll see the video from the Shinkiba. Would the Ome water be better? I don't know. The Ome water comes from the Tama River up there, and then it's treated as with a normal city, filtered, etc., etc. And the Japanese, the people who run cities and water supplies, they are paranoid. I mean, without sort of bragging about it, the city water here is going to be the best on this planet. They're super, super, super careful with this sort of thing. No, it's rust. It's absolutely rust. We've been there before. These prints are all, they must have been in the same collection or taken care of by the same collector, because they're all in exactly the same condition. The wormholes have been patched in exactly the same way. This group has been, what's the word, curated. They've been kept from the 1850s by, presumably in a single group. I have mixed feelings about this. These prints are not a set. They are individual kabuki prints. And by bringing them into our flea market now, we will be selling these off. Someone will buy this pair, someone will buy another pair, and these prints will be going out to different homes. There's a little bit of a sadness about that, because they have been, clearly they've all been kept together safely since the 1850s. They've come this far, from 1850, so they've come 170 years safely. They've made it through the fires, floods, everything else that happened. 170 years old. Beautiful, beautiful condition. We have our classic quote-unquote oxidization. I keep saying oxidization. Chemical reaction with the colors here. This color has reacted some way. I mentioned this, and I got the email the other day. Someone was telling me, Dave, that mercury, it's not oxidizing, it's a reducing reaction. But yes, clearly something here. There's been a chemical reaction with one of these pigments in this woman's kimono. So I'm saying, can't we sell them as a set, even if they were to set? We have hundreds of these. I know there is nobody who is going to buy 100 of these prints from us. I'm sorry, I see a comment about a Genji kimono, and there was. In the previous picture there was. This is the Genji Mon. This is a kimono decorated with patterns from the Genji Monogatari. Is this a sneaky show and tell? I guess so. I don't know. It's not the plan. I can't explain much about these to you. So we've also got some Shomenzuri. Can we do this? Look, keep your eye on the black area here. On the mirror stand too, the light stand. They're done with Shomenzuri. So this print would have actually looked quite different. Some of the kimono colors here would perhaps have been brighter. I have no idea what color this would have been before it decayed. I don't know. No, the shiny parts there, it's done with front rubbing. I used the Japanese term, shoumenzuri. It's front rubbing. They're printed with a black pigment that had quite a bit of glue in it to the normal printing. And then after the print is dried, the rubbing tool comes on the front of the print. There's a block carved that would be the same shape as this underneath, and the baron would have been rubbed on top of this. And where it squeezes against the wood underneath, it leaves the top surface quite shiny. So those shiny parts have been printed first black the normal way, then they've been printed again by being rubbed from the top over the top of a block carved to the right shape. Shoumenzuri, front surface printing, is the Japanese term. Front rubbing, I guess, is the Western term. And it ends up making it look lacquered. It looks just like a lacquered box. That's the idea, of course. So. And the consumers of the day must have seen and enjoyed these features, Domo, arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you. Hi. That's the color block that matches the dragons we have here somewhere. There's a dragons. Where are the dragons? That's the color block for the dragons, for the April prints. Okay, this is fun. Look at this. These are, which way do they go? They go this way. I guess the cherry blossoms match here, do they? Or do they match the other way? Just a minute. It's hard to tell which way they match. No, I think they match the other way. Yeah, the two people are looking towards each other. The two people are looking in. But these prints must have been stored at some time like this, head to head. Because we see damage, both of them have been damaged in the same place here. We can see this is paper pasted on the back. And then touched up. Yeah, we can see, look at this. There you go, you can see can you see it? We zoom in a bit here. There's an extensive repair area here. This is extensively repaired. This was gone. These were torn. There was just nothing left in this area here. So somebody has pasted paper in from the back and then taken a brush and pigments and he has colored in. The repairman has colored in. He hasn't quite done the whole thing. He didn't, draw blue lines across here. He just colored in some brown and a bit of blue, just to put it sort of back together again. So this is quite badly damaged. This one, I don't know about price list here. I'm not going to talk about prices anyway, but this one will have to be much reduced in price compared to the other ones that are in better condition. Someone's taking care of these, nay. I guess they were left first and got damaged, and then somebody stepped in and fixed these up. There's been lots of care and attention. We cannot possibly spend the time and money to do this on these prints. That's the sort of paradox here. To do that repair job, you tell me how long. Is that a day's work or what? I don't know. But there's no way we can spend that much time on these. The actual prints themselves aren't worth, quote unquote, they're not worth that much in the market. So we're very happy that somebody at some point did take the time and trouble to do this, but we can't do this ourselves, not with this kind of print. You know. And this doesn't look like your top, like museum level of restoration. This is just somebody who sort of has a handle on this and knows how to do it. The restoring ethic these days is quite different from what it was when somebody did this. This is decades old, way, way, way old. This could be as old as I am, that restoration job. The modern ethic, there's this thing about everything has to be reversible and stuff like that. And when you're repairing a physical hole that big in a woodblock print, there's no requirement for making this reversible. If you're going to fix the hole, fix the hole. Otherwise, leave it alone, you know. How's our time here? Okay, let's do one more of these pairs, and then let's switch to video playback. We have show and tell today. We have back to a normal pattern of show and tell. I'm not going to reboot back into that same match label book. That is in process upstairs. We might visit it again, but not today. Today we have a normal show and tell. We have a package that has arrived, which we'll be opening. So. Whoa, what's this? What's the story here? No idea. Let's have a look. What have we got here? What's the object? Well, it's a cargo with kind of, what is that? It's a cargo with armor around it? Is that chain mail? You tell me what we're seeing. It looks like it's a cargo for carrying down the highway with a person inside. And it looks like it's sort of armored with chain mail to protect against sword slashes and stuff. Or is it netting? Chicken wire. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, let's get this one done and then video corner. Just a second, please. Is the guy breaking in or breaking out? The guy who was inside the cargo? I think he's busting out. I don't know. To me, this looks like he's breaking out of this thing. And it sounds like a climactic kabuki scene. You know, the guy has been hidden in there. And at the moment of the denouement, out he comes. Okay, this corner's damaged. Just tuck that in there. Okay. I have nowhere to put this. Don't I? Wait a second, let's put it down here. Actually, for the moment, well, let's look. Okay, we interrupt this stream to bring some video replay. I'll put out the outside camera for a minute, and I'll get ready to turn my camera off. The next few videos, I've got 6 short video clips. It's not long deal. They're clips of about 1 or 2 minutes each. And I think before I think this thing, there is audio on them, but it's the audio on these video clips is mostly just saw noise. So I'll turn the audio down. Let me know if it's still too loud, whatever, I can turn it down even more. And I believe what we certainly did the other day, you can hear my voiceover. I'll explain what it is that we were seeing. Aoyama-san and I had some big chunks of wood. We got the tree. We got chunks of the tree upstairs here. The ones we're doing here are 2019. You'll see the dates on some of these pieces of wood. So they've been drying here in large blocks for a few years. Our next step now is we went to Kiba to get them sliced. It's called resawn. We wanted them sliced in 4 or 5 millimeter slabs. And that's the job you're going to see. That's Aoyama-san with the wood on the floor. And here is the train. There's a train track, and the object on the left is a train car that runs up and down that track, back and forth. You'll see it in use in a few minutes. The wood is clamped to the train. The bandsaw, which we'll see in a moment, stays in one place. And the train car, the guy drives it. He stands on the train car, he pulls the handle, and he and the train roll down the track past the bandsaw. This is a massive bandsaw. And there's a plus and a minus about this. It gives us good, flat, straight cuts. But because the bandsaw is so huge, the blade itself is fat. And we lose a huge amount of wood to the thickness of the blade. Anyway, looking back up, the light is bad here. There's the train, and the train will come down the track towards the saw. Now the train, as we saw it at the first step, was in the finished position. The bandsaw blade is pointing the other way. So we clamp the wood to the train, run it back past the bandsaw, adjust as necessary, and pull it through the bandsaw this way. Here's the next video here. This is one of our pieces of wood now. It's clamped on. You can see the tongs that hold the wood onto the train, and it's going to go zoom back there and then cut on the way back towards us. We're looking at the back end of the system here. Okay, so much for the quiet parts. Now the switch goes on. I'll try and adjust the levels. Let me know in caps if it's too loud. So, and Vivid KP, the wood you saw there, that's the part that's going to be sliced off and thrown away. We want to get inside that slab, and what we're hoping is that the red inside and the white outside, we want as much red as possible and as little white as possible. And here we are. The plank is coming through the actual saw. And this is not the world's best piece of cherry. We're hopefully going to get some parts from the middle of it. The left and right outside is not so good at all. We don't know, we buy these pieces of tree not knowing what's inside them, and we don't really know until we get to the cutting table. Here's the overview of the system. The train has gone to the back, it's coming forward, and it's cutting at this moment. Now, how do we pay for this? They charge us by the minute. we are not allowed to manipulate the machinery ourselves. We tell them what we want. There's an assistant there, and there's a guy on the train. We are not allowed to touch the material ourselves. And they charge us by the minute. And to use that train and to have the resawing done on the train, we pay 500 yen for 60 seconds. From the time the two guys come into the room until the time when they say goodbye and we walk out with our wood. And yeah, he just looks at his watch and says, okay, we're starting now. And we pay 500 yen for 60 seconds for that big saw. Now, some of this now, what happened was we sliced off that, but the saw clamps and we can't get right to the end of the piece of wood there. So the wood is left at about, not an inch, it's about maybe 15 millimeters or so. So to get the last part of this, we then move over to a normal table saw, a normal table type bandsaw. And for that one, we pay 400 yen per minute. And that's this part of the job here. No, the clock runs when they come into the room and we start talking. While we are planning what to do, the clock is running. And I did this, I came in, can I pause this 1 sec? I don't know if I can pause this. The reason I came close up here, these guys don't wear ear protection. They have nothing. They stand there shouting and screaming and yelling at each other. We are standing there. I was bleeding from my ears. I had to run outside. I couldn't bear it. These guys do this all day long. No mask, no goggles, no ear protection, no nothing. And I chatted with the boy at the end of this. I said, like, aren't you kind of like, you know, your grandfather there? Can he hear stuff? He says, oh, he can talk to me fine. He's learned how to do this, you know. Meaning learn how to lip read, I guess. I don't know. No protection whatsoever. Absolutely no protection. Japan is, you know, it's whatever. It's a smart country in some ways, and it's a little bit defective in other ways. You know, I chatted with a boy about this, and he thinks I'm just being a, what's the word? A goody-goody two-shoes. Don't try and take care of me. We're okay. We'll do it by ourselves. I try to explain to him, look, if this was Britain or Canada, your company would be fined for this. I mean, there are basic rules in place, and it's not even your choice. Your company would be heavily fined for this, you know. And he's like, leave me alone. It's okay. whatever, you know. I'm sort of half in between here. I'm a little bit of an older guy, and I tend to think, oh, it's okay. You guys are, you know, the young kids today, they worry too much about this. But my God, no ear protection. And I've got this volume turned. It was unbearable. Unbearable. I waited outside. I had to wait outside. It was unbearable for me. And we're doing this, and he has left the bandsaw running on the train that's behind us. So behind us right now, the train is not moving back and forth, but the bandsaw is still running. And I asked him about this, and he said, oh, the kick to start it up is too much. It's just easier for us to leave it running when we're not using it. Whatever. Don't know. So anyway, that was our adventures in Kiba yesterday. We spent $600 there getting 3 or 4 pieces of wood sliced up. Whatever. There's also a couple more pieces that I haven't showed you there. What you saw here being sliced was cherry wood. And the pieces for the Surfer Girl color blocks are the wood you saw being sliced up at the end there on that bandsaw. The first block you saw going through the bandsaw, that's wood for what we're going to be doing in 2024. We don't quite know what that is yet, but those planks are now going to dry for a couple more years. So most of the wood you saw being prepared and manipulated here won't come to my carving bench for a long time. The Surfer Girl blocks will, and we're not so happy about this. I would rather let them dry off first for a longer time, but I didn't plan that project 2 years ago. So there's nothing else I can do about that. So we're trying as much as we can to think a couple of years in advance so that we have good wood ready for what we're doing. Can't be helped. The other part I didn't show you there, we also took some boxwood to be sliced up there. And I didn't show it because the video part for that's going to be part of a video presentation working together with the British Museum. And we're keeping all that stuff behind the scenes at the moment. That's for next year's project. So we sliced up some boxwood there for that one. So, okay, let's move on. It's 9:10. Time to get to show and tell. Someone's asking, how was the end result? At the end of the day, you know, when we got we took a car up there, Aoyama-san's car, and we threw the wood into the car and brought it home. And at the end of the day, I was really not happy. None of the pieces that we sliced, none of them are what I would think of as good wood. And one of them was just a total waste, just complete total waste. I'd like just leave it here. Let these guys throw it in their wood burner because there's nothing we can use here. And this is wood that we bought from a tree, whatever, 2019. So 3 years ago we bought some of this. And now that we get inside it, we find that it's really not usable. So there's no, I don't want to get the bad wood. It's okay, whatever. What have we got here? I don't remember. Oh yeah. Okay. What makes it good wood, bad wood? We need wood with good density. If the tree grew too fast and is too light, it's not good for us. It wears out too quickly. And it's not so much the good wood. We need wood that has been sliced in the proper way. And we cannot get that. Nobody will slice it in the way that we want it to be sliced. I don't want to start the whole long story here again. So. Okay, what we've got here today is not woodblock prints. It's a book, but it's a book that contains woodblock prints. And it's a book that was published It's a book. It wasn't published as a book. It was a monthly magazine about ukiyo-e. Now, we've talked about this before. We had some a couple of months ago. We had the Konohana, the magazine published in Meiji era into the Taisho era. That was a book about explaining ukiyo-e history and artists and stuff. And they were not the only company doing such things. Another company published a similar magazine in the Taisho era. And this magazine was a little bit more serious. It was a little bit more researchy. The guy who did the Konohana was a quirky guy. And a lot of the stuff he did was sort of a little bit off the wall, not real research. He sounds like a really interesting guy. So this magazine was one of the ones that was more serious research. And what we have here today, it's a bound together volume of a number of the books. Now, I haven't actually seen what's inside it, but I want to skip first to the back page, the colophon. There is no colophon. There is no colophon. I want to find the colophon because the super, super interesting part about this magazine is this was published by the company we know as Sakai Kokodo. The ukiyo-e shop that was in the next block to me here that closed a few months ago. They have been in business since the old days, and they were the publisher of this magazine. Excuse me, to keep this to myself, I'm looking for the colophon that's got their publication information. One sec. I can't find it, and there isn't one here. There isn't one. Ow! You have to take my word for it. The magazine was published by Sakai Kokodo in early Taisho 5 or 6 or 7, something like this. And what we have here, somebody has taken a few of those magazines and bound them together into a little booky shape. And it's mixed me of sad and happiness. The company in the next block to me, they've been in business so long, they were publishing stuff like this at that time. And now they're closed. They're gone. And part of the magazine, as you saw, the magazine itself was mostly done with metal type as a magazine, but it had included as inserts a number of woodblock prints. And the person who has done this binding, they have taken 1, 2, 3, or 4 of these magazine issues, and they have bound them together with the stories at the back here and the prints at the front, kind of like Couchier style. So what you're seeing here is a Taisho reproduction of a print actually from the same era that we just looked at in real life ones. I don't know what we're seeing here. It's a woman with a child, another version of our children with big heads. Yeah, you're talking about the wood sawing, yes. So it's not quarter sawn at all. And the stuff we get now, everything is slab sawn and or quarter sawn. What is she doing? Place your bets here. I have no idea what we're looking at. What's going on here? Is it some kind of children's toy? What has she got here? We're cherry blossom season. What is she holding? Any guesses, gang? Is it a toy related to this? So John's got the idea, that thing when they had the daimyo gyo, that's the procession of going down the Tokaido Road or whatever, this thing in the middle here, like John's mentioning, this does look like one of those things that they carry down. We see this in the first print in the Tokaido set, on the Nihonbashi print. And these are wrapped up. Will they be exposed later? I haven't any idea what this is. I'm sorry. The child clearly has a wooden horse, a mokuba. And this will be a Taisho era reproduction published for the magazine of a print from an era about, at that time it would have been 50 or 60 years earlier. This is a different reproduction. This is a reproduction of a print from around 150 years earlier. It's a reproduction of a Koryusai print. A few things unusual about it. Shades of the prints we saw the other day. Remember, we saw the 5 modern actresses who were depicted as woodblock face on, and they ask, why does all the ukiyo-e normally have the same face? The face is the outside, the nose is seen from the side. 99.99999% of ukiyo-e is shown the faces in exactly the same way. When you try and do it face on, this is what you get. It just doesn't work. The traditional way of drawing faces in ukiyo-e doesn't work. That's not your normal kimono either. There's some kind of peacock design here. This is a very, very special kimono. It might be a festival kimono. I don't know. I'm sorry. Very gorgeous and dramatic. The designer is Koryusai, so the original for this would be 1740s, 1750s. And this, what we're looking at, is a reproduction from the 1920s. So the magazine clearly was talking about ukiyo-e history, and in order to talk about history, they didn't have any way to do color photographs. So the only way to show the images that they were trying to talk about in the body of the magazine was to actually make woodblock prints for putting them in. There was no easy, good, quality, clean, cheap color printing available at the time this magazine was published. This is Hiroshige from the Edo Meisho Hakke. And remind me, this is this what's the name of the shop? I can't remember. Is this the shop that became Mitsukoshi or the shop that became Matsuya? I don't remember. I'm supposed to know this stuff. Mitsui, I don't remember. It's one of those shops which got started in this era and is still in business these days. But I don't remember which one, I'm sorry. Begins with an M. Could be Matsuya, Mitsui, or Mitsukoshi. I don't know. Has John got a handle on this? I don't know. Oh, look at this. What have we got here? This is Toyokuni. I've never seen this one before. We have a lady with a child. And he's obviously, this is his reflection in the shiny door. What is he doing? It's a reflection in a lacquer door. Your guess is as good as mine. I haven't a clue. Is he just looking at his biceps? I don't know. There are stories to match all these. There will be a story with explanation deeper in the magazine here, but there is no way that I can sit here and hunt through and find that at this point. There will be an explanation inside the magazine somewhere. And the last one, this is easy. This is a reproduction of what's called an otsu-e. And this is in here because of a mistaken assumption. This is a woodblock print, but what it is, it's the kind of picture is what's known as otsu-e. Otsu is the last town on the Tokaido before you get to Kyoto. It's now just part of Kyoto. I guess it's part of Kyoto City. I don't know. But it was the last station before you got to Keishi, before you got to Kyoto, the last station. And it was famous for its folk art. And there were shops all along the road there selling pictures like this, which were, for the most part, hand-drawn. Each shop would have its standard images, and they would just reproduce them again and again and again and again and again. And the people would sit in the shop with their brushstrokes, drawing the same images and selling them to the people who walked down. They were kind of like, almost like Lucky Charm type images. People that would buy them, stick them up in their house. And there were different ones. There was the demon queller or this or this or this. So this is an example of an image called otsu-e. And early researchers in ukiyo-e of about this era, Taisho era, in the West and in Japan, had got the idea that the otsu-e were the predecessors of ukiyo-e. And later research during my lifetime, modern research with better access to lots of different things, has tossed out that theory completely. Ukiyo-e got its roots more in terms of scroll paintings and screens morphing into books, which morphed into single images. And it was nothing to do with the otsu-e. And James Michener also wrote about this. He wrote that the ukiyo-e had its roots here, and he was actually dead wrong on this, it seems, going by later research. So for me to see this in this book here tells me that these researchers who did this magazine probably have fallen for the same thing, that they felt that ukiyo-e had its roots in the otsu-e. And there's nothing even remotely similar about them, either in theme or in technology, in manufacture, in anything. I have no idea how that thing got started, but it's now been pretty much put to bed. This is not a thing. Anyway, there we have it. This will go into the collection here, and there's an insane amount of research that could be done here looking at this. The images for the book itself are all done with wood block, and they were carved on type high blocks. And this is also common, very common in Europe. These guys have clearly taken a leaf from European publications here. This part is metal type, which is all a certain height called type high. And this wood block would have been carved on a wood block that had been planed and dressed to be exactly the same height. So when it came time to print the magazine on the printing presses, the wood block slides in, the metal type slides in, and it's all printed at the same time. Again, this was really common in Europe through the 1800s, 1900s, 1800s, and Japan picked up the same thing when they started importing printing technology from the West. Okay, we're pretty much at the end of it. There's one thing I would like to mention. I saw somebody talking about this. Karen, I think, was trying to explain something, how we would like our wood to be sliced and why it can't happen. The wood, little bit of a sidetrack here. The logs that we are buying, the cherry trees are cut and they come to the market like this. The cherry logs are chopped in the mountains. They are trucked these days. In the old days, they used to come by river. In the modern times, they are trucked to the market. And what happens to them in the market? If they leave them like this, they soon split and check and become useless to anybody. So what happens these days is the first things they do in the wholesale market is they slab cut all these logs. They slab cut them into about 10 centimeters. And that's the point where it's destroyed for our use. They then later on, they end up doing what's called quarter sawing, like this, to get different pieces of wood. And when you quarter saw something, you end up with a piece of wood like this that has grain like this, straight grain. And this is useless for us. That piece of wood, if we expand it and whatever, and look at that piece of wood, it has straight grain which comes up in our prints. We do not want this. We can't work like this. What was done in the old days, wood that was coming not for construction, but wood that was coming for woodblock prints, the first thing they do in the market, it goes in the water, it goes in the sea for at least 6 months to dry out the inside without checking the outside. And then I think Karen was explaining, they then cut it in a pentagon type shape. And they went round and round and round and round and round until you got to the point where they were too small and you couldn't use them anymore. But when you cut wood this way, if I now then put the wood grain in place, here's the wood grain. Every single one of those planks, now let's just take one at random, every single one of those planks now has a wood grain pattern like this. And when you look at that wood grain pattern on the finished wood, you see this sort of pattern. Most of it is flat, smooth wood. And this is what we want, and this is what we can't buy anymore. And we have tried. And the only way this is going to happen for us is when we build up enough resources and enough power to buy trees, get them trucked to Cuba with our own money, our own dollar, get them somewhere, get some crazy guy who is willing to say, okay, let's do this. I'd like to do this. And you saw the train. This log has to be clamped onto the train. Slice off your first slice. Then unclamp it from the train, move it around to a different angle, get it exactly right, clamp it down, throw it through, take off one more slice. Then unclamp it from the train, move it around, figure out what you're doing. You see what I'm getting at? It's just not going to happen. Should I buy one of those trains? I don't know. That's our conundrum. I don't know. Anyway, that's the whatever. Somebody's reminding, Atelier Cento. Okay. But don't remind me, put the link in. Sorry. Okay, Vivid is reminding me here. I asked the mods, please remind me during the next stream to mention something. My friends in France over at Atelier Cento have set up a new Patreon. They are trying to spend more time designing and stuff. They're both on part-time jobs trying to feed themselves in order to help get more time for making good work and design. They have set up a Patreon. I got really lucky. I saw their YouTube video about it. I went to their Patreon page and it said number of Patreons 0. And this was because they had just started it. So I jumped in there. I mean, whatever. People are really supporting our Patreon well. I would be a jerk if I didn't try and support some others like this. So I instantly jumped into their Patreon campaign. She sent me back a note saying, Dave, thank you. I got to tell you, these are good people. Dave's recommendation here, please look it up. Has somebody got it? Thank you very much. They're really good people. They're not making woodblock prints. They're making designs for woodblock prints. And you will see at some point in the future. I can't schedule it right now. It can't be 2022. It can't be 2023. That's already booked. It can't be 2024 because that's already booked. 2025, I've already got an idea. At some point, you are going to see a series of prints that we are going to make based on designs from Cécile and Olivier. We are going to make prints based on their prints, based on their images. I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but that is going to happen. So if you're interested in their work, go over there, have a look. And I can please recommend, if you can afford it, help support them. Anyway, end of spiel. Okay, I'm out of here. Thursday. I have got so much to do this afternoon. That block came back from Kawasaki-san. She is now finished. My carver Kawasaki-san right now is sitting at her desk with nothing to do. And it's my job today to create a concept, prepare a hanshita, paste it on wood, and send it to her before the Takibin deadline at 5 o'clock. Am I going to make it? I don't know, but I've got to get started. Thanks very much. I'll see you again 2 more days from now, Saturday morning. There might be another announcement too, Saturday morning. It's Saturday morning for me, but it'll be Friday for you. Flea market starts with an F. Friday starts with an F. Flea market Friday. Flea market. We'll talk about this in a day coming up. I got to get out of here. Thanks very much, guys. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself today. Thanks for taking part. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And thanks also the mods there. They're really trying to keep me in line here. I ignore them too much. I'm sorry. Karen, John, and Alessio. Thank you very much, guys, for helping out here. Okay, I'm out of here. See you next time. Bye for now.